Hello, my darlings. Well, Nano is just a couple of days away, and there's been a lot of talk going around the community about self care. And you're going to get another talk because that's how important it is. So, I think the most important thing to know about self care is that it's not selfish. We're taught, especially if you are a woman, a parent, oh God, if you're a mom, we're taught that putting ourselves first is selfish. It really isn't. It really, really isn't. You know that old corny adage, you can't fill from an empty cup? It's corny, but it's true. If you're at the end of your rope, how are you supposed to take care of things? How are you supposed to get up in the morning and go to work? How are you supposed to take care of your family? How are you supposed to write if you have no spoons for that? It's all about self-care. It's about getting some you time. And that looks different for everyone. It's not all bubble baths and scented candles. It's really not. But before we get into that, I do want to say, I want to talk about hustle culture. Because as someone who has worked in the mental health field, I have seen hustle culture being put on children. And when I say children, I mean tweens. And it's bad enough on adults, it's worse on tweens. But we're here to talk about you, and I don't think I have too many teenagers tuning in here. But hustle culture can be so damaging. It's that whole boss babe, and that you got to have a side hustle and this sort of thing. It's so freaking damaging. It's like if we're not go, go, go 24/7, there's something wrong with us. That's what hustle culture does to us. It's okay to not have a side hustle. Now, for most of us who writing and publishing is not a side hustle. It's an integral part of who we are. And if it's a side hustle and you're okay with a side hustle, you can do it. All the power to you. I honest to God, I'm not worthy because I can't do it. And I know a lot of people who are pushed to do it and they just don't have it in them. But they feel like if they don't, they're a failure. They're comparing themselves to people who are out there making an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month selling leggings or Etsy or whatever. I got trapped in that. Let me share a little story with you. You can see my Kanban board over my head here, and you can see all of the orange stickers and the orange stickies. I got stuck. I got pulled into hustle culture. Besides my writing and this YouTube channel, I was convinced I needed a side hustle because my writing and YouTube as an extension of my writing is not a side hustle for me. It's what I want as a career sometime in the very near future. So Etsy was going to be my side hustle. I was going to make happy planner covers and planner charms and all of this. And I got started. And then it became a chore. It was such a freaking chore. I didn't even want to sit down in front of the television set and make some charms, which is something that I enjoyed doing before because I was just making them for my friends or family or, giving them away. The fact that I was having to try to monetize it just did it in for me. And then I decided that I was going to reopen my coaching business. That's something I'm extremely passionate about. Before I moved back to Nova Scotia, I had a coaching business in New Brunswick. I was just getting started. I was becoming successful at it. I quit my day job. It was great. Then my dad fell ill and I moved home to Nova Scotia and I had to leave it there. So I had decided here recently that I was going to start up my coaching business of working with authors. Again, not a side hustle. It is an extension of my writing career. And I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. I cannot do this. I hate it. So that's going. This weekend, those orange stickies are getting pulled down because I'm not doing the Etsy thing. Sorry, gang. Just not doing it. Because my mental health is more important then an extra $40 or $50 a month I would have probably made off of that. So you don't need to have a side hustle. Okay? If it is a chore, then why do it? If it's a joy, if you enjoy doing if you have a side hustle and you enjoy doing it, by all means do it. Work it into your schedule. Absolutely. So long as you're making sure that you're not burning out because of it, which is exactly what happened to me. I was burning out because of it. So that aside, self-care can be a really difficult thing to do as an adult. Toddlers do it all the time. When they want food, they get food. When they want a nap, they have a nap. I've seen kids fall asleep on their feet. They're tired, they're going to sleep. It's really hard as an adult to do that because we have schedules and we have other people to take care of and that sort of thing. If you can possibly work it in to get your sleep, go to bed an hour early. If you can take a nap on a Sunday afternoon, take a nap on a Sunday afternoon. It's not selfish. It's refueling. It's recharging your batteries. And you need to do that, especially during Nano. It's so hard to be creative when you're hanging by your fingernails. When you're so tired, your eyes are burning, it's time to stop and get some rest. Take a nap, go to bed early, sleep in a little bit later. Whatever you can do to get your rest, because that's so important. Even if rest means you're going to go crawl into bed and read a book, you're not going to sleep, but that's still restful to you. Like I said, it's different for everybody, and it's about finding out what works for you. And it's about getting over the guilt of actually doing it. That's a lot harder, and that's a whole nother video. That is a lot harder. One big thing that we tend to not look at as self-care is diet and exercise. Now, full disclosure, I am not a dietitian. I am not a personal trainer. I have worked in the fitness industry, so I know a little bit more than the layman, but I am not here to give you professional advice. Please consult a doctor if you are going to make severe changes in your diet or start an exercise routine. Please, please, please consult your physician on that. And you know what? Personal trainers, having had them, are worth every bloody penny. If you can afford to hire a personal trainer, if you're looking to get fit, definitely look into hiring a personal trainer. But having said that, how often do you find yourself at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Oh my God, haven't eaten yet. Haven't had a glass of water yet. I know that's me. Happens all the time. I work from home and I get up in the morning and I pour my coffee and I sit to my desk and I'm blam, right into it. Meetings and emails and everything else. And then all of a sudden I start getting shaky and feeling nauseous. And I realize it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I haven't put any fuel in my body. Having those snacks, like prepping your food, that sort of thing, especially during Nano, is going to make self-care so much easier because fueling your body is self-care. Feeding yourself is self-care. Sitting down and having a decent meal is self-care. Getting away from the computer, putting down your phone, engaging with your family, that's all self-care. The worst thing that people that work from home do is eat at their desk. That's the worst. I am guilty, so guilty. I do it every single day. And I need to stop. And so do you. Get up away from your desk, even if you're just going out and sitting on the couch and having your lunch, watching a little TV or reading a book. Get away from your desk for a half an hour. You know, you are entitled to your lunch break. Please take it. Please take it. Don't eat at your desk. That's like so damaging to your mental health. It's so damaging to your physical health. And not only that, you're setting an expectation with your boss and coworkers that you are always working and you're always available. And you know what they say about act your wage? Time to act your wage. That's self-care too. So let me check my notes because we certainly don't want to miss anything here. So when it comes to exercise, some is better than none. And it doesn't have to be 2 hours a day at the gym. Now, when I worked in the fitness industry, I worked in a gym as a salesperson. So I was the person who would sign you up at the largest national chain in Canada. I worked for that company. We used to have people it was a women's only gym. And we used to have people who would come in every day and beat the snot out of themselves for 2 solid hours. And they were in really good shape for the most part. I saw a lot of injuries. And then one day there was this woman who approached me and said, "My doctor says I need to lose some weight." And I looked at her and I was like this. I was overweight. And I used to get a lot of women that approached me as opposed to approaching the other sales reps who were all in really good shape because I guess I was relatable. I got her signed up and I made sure I was there with her for her first couple of workouts. She didn't come regularly. She didn't come every day. She made it in 2, sometimes 3 times a week. She'd come on a Sunday morning and take a Zumba class or whatever. It took her a little bit longer, but she hit her goals. She hit her goals. And it wasn't just the weight loss I saw happening to her. It was her confidence. She would come into the gym and leave with a smile on her face. She was happy to be there. And then I would see these other women come in that came in and worked out for 2 hours every single day. And they looked so miserable, like it was a chore for them. They weren't having any fun. Who do you think was happier? The woman who still had 20 pounds to lose, 6 months into it, or the woman who could bench press a Buick? That is really important, and it's part of self-care. I've always said, if you're not having fun, what the hell's the sense in doing it? There's really no sense in doing it. Don't make yourself miserable. If you're doing a self-care routine and you're not having fun, it's not filling you, it's a chore, stop. Find something else, because self-care is supposed to be refilling your well, not because so-and-so does the same thing and, works for them. That doesn't mean it's going to work for you, and that's okay. Find something that works for you. Get up and move your body. Maybe you can't afford to go to the gym. A lot of people can't. Gym memberships are outrageous, and maybe where you live right now, the weather's not nice. Here it's not. It's cold and rainy all the time because it's, October. And you don't have, you can't get outside. You can't go for a walk. Put on some music, get up and dance around the room, play with your kids. And I mean, play, get physical about it and find something that just makes you feel like you're having some fun. Because if you're having fun, you're going to keep doing it. If it's a chore, you're going to have to drag your butt to get doing whatever it is you're trying to do. And that's a recipe for disaster. You're not going to continue on with it. So why bother? Stop now, find something else, right? So back to sleep. Sleep is so important. Up until very recently, I had been suffering with severe insomnia. I consulted my doctor, and we found out that it was actually anxiety related. I wasn't sleeping because the minute that I would start to fall asleep, I would have a panic attack because I was resting. And I had that foolish thing in the back of my head that I should be busy all the time, that I should always be working. So that took a lot of work, inner work, for me to figure out that it's really okay for me to, if it's 10 o'clock, I'm allowed to go to bed. It's okay for me to have not cleaned up the kitchen after supper because I need to go to bed early because my eyes are burning and I can't stay awake any longer. That is hard. It's a lot of work, but it is worth every shot of adrenaline-induced panic that you get for not emptying that dishwasher or folding your laundry and putting it away before bed. It really is okay to leave your clothes in the dryer until the next day or the day after that. It really is okay. There's no laundry police that's going to come and arrest you because you haven't folded your laundry and put away. Rest is so important. When you think about what happens when you are sleep deprived, your body, your organs start to shut down. And you're no good to anybody. You're no good to anybody. So please, please get your rest. Even if that means you're not hitting your word count for nano that day, it's more important that you get that extra hour of sleep. It truly, truly is. And when it comes right down to it, it's okay to not be perfect. We see people who go on about self-care and how they have these wonderful self-care routines. And this seems to be popping up on my Google News feed a lot lately about this celebrity and their their self-care routines and how they're so important and so perfectly done and this sort of thing. You don't have to be perfect, and it's hard to let go of that. We all seem to suffer with the perfectionism, and especially as authors, because we edit and we edit and we revise and we rewrite, so it's kind of coded into our DNA. But it truly, truly is okay to not be perfect. Baby steps. Okay. If it's hard for you, as it was for me, to learn to let go of the guilt of not being perfect, baby steps. Don't make your bed tomorrow morning. I gave up making my bed as soon as my feet hit the floor. Because I use it now as an excuse to get up from my desk around mid-morning. Oh, I have to go make my bed. So I get up and I'm moving my body, at least that much. And then I always get some water before I come back to my desk. So that was, but that was hard. It was hard because growing up, you made your bed when your feet hit the floor because then it was done and you didn't have to think about it for the rest of the day, right? And it was a really good practice until it became something that I would beat myself up for if I didn't do it. Even if it was a day where I was changing my bed sheets, but I had, I'm going to go have breakfast or whatever first, and I didn't make my bed, and I would come back into my room to strip it, to put the bed sheets in, the guilt, it was crazy. It was, what was the sense of making my bed if I was just going to strip it? But the guilt, overwhelming, anxiety inducing, and those voices would start in my head about how I wasn't any good. And oh my God, what if somebody walked in and saw that you didn't make your bed this morning? It's so hard to let go of if it's something that you've had all your life. It causes so much anxiety. So when you get up tomorrow morning and you don't make your bed and it causes you anxiety, I want you to do something. Sit with it. I want you to let yourself feel the anxiety. Because unless you feel it, at least this is my opinion now, I'm not a therapist, but speaking from my own experience, and my experience with anxiety is going on 40 years now. Sit with the anxiety, let yourself feel it, acknowledge it for what it is, and then let it go. A lot of times when we're doing inner work, and we're working on things like our anxiety, we try to stop ourselves from feeling it. That's almost impossible because it is a Pavlovian reaction. And you're going to feel that anxiety. So let yourself feel it. Recognize it for what it is. Honor it for what it is because it's part of you. And then let it go. Okay? Let it go. It's hard. I get it. But speak to it if you need to. The anxiety hits. I see you there. I acknowledge you there. But you don't get to stay because that bed's not getting made. I'm going to come back and make that bed later. And I'm going to go sit down on the deck and enjoy my coffee first. So you can just stay here. And I'm going to go have my coffee. Speak to it. When years ago, I had a therapist who made me name my anxiety. His name was Bob. And I had to take him places with me because he was coming anyway, whether I wanted him to or not. And I found that when I named him, made it like a character, which, hey, we're writers, we're good at that, it became something separate from me and I was easily able to deal with it. So if that works for you, great. But speaking of therapists, it's okay to get help. Oh my God, if you can I think we should treat therapy the way we treat going to the dentist, as a preventative measure. You go to the dentist and you get your teeth cleaned. You get your teeth cleaned so you don't get cavities and have something worse happen, like you lose a tooth. So you go to therapy and you work on the little things so they don't become big things. And it's okay. There's still very much of a stigma around going to therapy. I don't think there should be. And I think that people who are going to make fun of you for getting help, they're not your friends. I know that there's people in my life that have made fun of me for going to therapy. They're not my life anymore. I go to therapy because I'm worth it. I'm worth working on. That is like the ultimate self-care, is working on yourself, raising yourself up. Don't wait for somebody else to do it for you, because, honey, it's not going to happen. Do it for yourself. And then you can do it for other people. Then you can do it for your family. Then you can do it for your kids. Then you can do it for your spouse, your partner, your parents. You have to do it for yourself first. And then we're right back into the guilt. It all comes down to unlearning old habits. For anybody who has ever quit smoking, you know what I'm talking about, right? If you unlearned that habit, you can unlearn this one. If you chewed your nails, I used to chew my nails, I used to rip my nails right off, and I unlearned that habit. That's all it is. It's unlearning habits, unlearning the guilt. Learning to put yourself first is unlearning putting yourself last. That is, to me, the basis of self-care. That is something that we, as people who have a job and are trying to get started on our writing career, or have a writing career in conjunction with our job, that's something that I think we all struggle with, is that need to put ourselves last. You can't achieve your dreams if you put yourself last. They're your dreams. You need to come first. And not only that, for those of us who are parents, what are we teaching our children if we're putting ourselves last? Kids see everything. I know my son still does. If you put yourself first, you're teaching them to put themselves first. So embrace yourself, all of the warts and the lumps and the guilt and the whole 9 yards. Work on you, ultimate self-care. So find those things that work for you. It might be bubble baths and scented candles. Heck, I always have a scented candle burning. I have one in like 3 rooms of this house, I think. Whatever room I'm in, there's a scented candle burning. Could be playing video games. Could be taking 10 minutes and just going outside and breathing, taking deep breaths. When was the last time you took a deep breath all the way into your belly? When was the last time you did that? Or are you like me and 95% of your life is living with shallow breathing? Think about it. When was the last time you took a deep breath? Take one now. Take a big deep breath all the way into your belly and then let it out slowly. You just did some self-care. It could be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything big. Now, my darlings, listen. I have started a small group. Could end up being a big group. I don't know. Called Indigo. INDIE Go. Kind of like Pokemon Go or whatever. Or Indigo. So, on my website, authormelissapower.com, it's there under resources for writers. And it is going to be a group of people who we are there to cheer each other on and hold each other accountable in our journey to better health, whether that is physical health, mental health, whatever. My personal goal is to move my body a minimum of 15 minutes every single day. I put this in place because we let all this go during Nano, if you're anything like I am, and I know a lot of you are. So if you want to pop over to my website, authormelissapower.com, there's a little sign up. There's a poll because I would like for us to meet maybe once a month on Zoom. Go check that out and take care of yourselves. The world needs you. The world needs your stories, and they can't get your stories if you're too burnt out to write them. So take care of yourself. You are so worth it. You deserve it. Your family deserves you taking care of yourself. Your pets. I imagine if I didn't take care of myself, who was going to take care of Ziggy? You know, who's going to help my son when he needs help? Who's going to help my mom when she needs help? Take care of yourself so you can take care of the people that you love. Okay? Love you all so, so much. I will see you in sprints. We're going to have such a fun time during Nano. There's all kinds of great stuff coming up. So take care of yourselves. I will see you soon. Love you all.